The word rule is commonly associated with oppression and arrogant actions. I look at it as a way of governing to keep people's unnecessary ambitions under control. God let people run free.
Alright, so this ain't my usual setup. I kind of like shooting here. It's my brother's room. It's pretty nice. Anyways, if you can't tell by today's video, I'm going to be talking about not The Boys, even though I normally do, because ain't no party like Tech Night's party. But yeah, that episode's low-key kind of freaky. I don't even know if I can show any of the clips because they'll probably get taken down. Anyways, as far as what I'm going to be talking about today, I think I can't even show a whole lot of this either, just because of how crazy this series is. After watching the latest episode of The Boys, I kind of want to talk about something that's like far crazier than The Boys, which in no way would absolutely get adapted, because the way these comics work, they're pretty much unadaptable. Like the way that this comic works, it's really worse than The Boys. Like the title says it all, the comic worse than The Boys. And if you haven't figured out already, it's another work by Garth Ennis. It's called Cross. Now, if you're not familiar with Cross, this is a series that came out in the early 2000s. It's pretty interesting. That's the best way to describe it. If you thought Berserk was like low-key tripping, then Cross probably give you nightmares, because for me, when I actually read this comic, because I saw a video on it, low-key gave me nightmares for like a few days because of reading it. Now, I'm not gonna say, oh, I don't have like a strong stomach. If any of you comment, oh, you have a terrible stomach. Nah, it's just like some things, like they're too graphic. Like when things are too straight up graphic, just for the sake of it, it's kind of boring, like absolutely boring. Now, Cross, the reason I like it is because of the concept and how interesting it is. Think about it like this. It's kind of like the rage virus from 28 Days Later, 28 Weeks Later, with the zombies from Marvel Zombies. Put them together and then boom, you get Cross. So essentially what Cross is, no one knows what happens. This random infection comes, it basically lets all the evil thoughts that you have come to mind. And they're not really zombies, so to say. They're more like twisted versions of people. They become essentially extremely evil and take pleasure and delight in doing the most I can't even say the word. They do the most deranged things known to man. They'll do it to women, children, and that's as far as I'll say, because I'm not gonna even comment what they do. There's a lot of stuff that they do I probably won't be able to show because it's kind of disgusting. It is disgusting. Most of this comic, like, it started off pretty good, like the concept, but as the story went on and on, there was pretty much no like justification. Like, it just pretty much like a gore fest. It was just pretty much boring in a sense of way, like, oh, shock value, this guy is eating a person. Oh, shock value, this guy's torturing a woman because he can. Or, oh, this woman's torturing another woman, blah blah blah. Like, the concept itself is pretty interesting, but the way it was executed just to be shock value, it didn't really sit right with me. Now, I read most of the comics all the way up to 57. I read Cross Badlands, I read Cross 100, 100 Years Later, Cross. Okay, Cross is like, there's multiple series to it. Multiple other writers have tackled it. Garth Ennis essentially started it, but I don't think there's been a recent Cross comics in a few years. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like, this is a series I honestly found out a few months ago. I was obsessed with it for like a while and then kind of got bored of it. Not too many people talk about it, well, because of the like super graphic nature that it entails. Like, the only reason I'm doing this video is because people have been complaining about The Boys, how it's nasty, how the episode made no sense. Like, imagine this series as a live action or animated series. It would never work. You would have the same stuff that you see in The Boys episode 6, like pretty much the entire show, but with like that would pretty much be the entire show. That would be disgusting. I don't think it would ever work, to be honest. Like, you could adapt it, but the way that these comics, the way that the storytelling works, I don't think you would have like that shock factor. And it could be done, like, if it's toned down a little bit, but I think Garth Ennis has stated he doesn't want a series like The Cross toned down if it ever got like a live action or animated series, because that's not how his series works. He wants it to be brutal, encompassing, and captivating, which to me, I mean, like, look, there's certain things you can adapt, but at the same time other things you can't, which is kind of, I don't know, like, look, if they can't even adapt a good Berserk anime, then I highly ever doubt that they could adapt this series. I don't even know if anyone would want to adapt this series. The closest thing we've ever gotten to this adaptation, which is not really an adaptation, it's called The Saddening. I believe it's a film that was made in Spain. It was pretty much inspired by the events of the Cross comics. I saw a little bit of clips of it. It's pretty terrifying. Like, essentially, that movie, spoilers, a meteor comes out and infects people, and these people go super insane and they start like murdering and killing people. Basically like the premise of The Cross, but without all the sexually weird gore stuff. That's the closest that we've ever seen to like a live action Cross, but like to me an animated version would work super well. It's just they would have to tone it down completely. When I say this comic is like disgusting, it is disgusting. The things that they do, like some of the, like the art, I cannot even show some of the art because it's just that brutal. Like the Into the Badlands, like the series like takes different stories, people's perspective on it, and just gives it a twist. Like there's survivors, you follow military personnel, you follow presidents, you follow kings. It's an interesting series, but like it's just terrible. Like it's mostly there for shock value and gore fest. But yeah, so like if you thought The Boys episode 6 was bad, this is literally what the entire series is. It's literally Tech Knight's party over and over and over and over and over, and then it just kind of gets boring. But that's pretty much a comic worse than The Boys. Anyways, have you actually read the series? Do you guys want to get this? Because if I was you, I'd read a few issues online, just like the first at 12, and if you're into it, maybe read the rest. But I really wouldn't recommend it because it's just pretty graphic, especially the art. It is graphic. Anyways, that being said, that's pretty much all I have to talk about today. First time I've actually talked about some comic books on this channel, I believe. But yeah. Would you guys want like a live action or animated series of this? Me personally, I would watch it, but I don't know, man. I don't know, man.